it's a new month, it's a new day, it's a new life, and I have to tell you the books that I've read in the previous one, because that's what we do. We do that so that we know how many books and what books we read, so that we can say at the end of the year which one was our favorite something. So without further ado, I'm going to get into my August wrap-up, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. I am going to firstly talk to you about the magical Readathon Autumn Equinox 2022, and then I'm going to tell you other books that I've read that month. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today, as I have previously stated, I'm going to be doing my August wrap-up. So, without further ado, let's get into the magical Readathon portion of the thing. If you've watched my vlogs from the spring equinox 2022 and of autumn equinox 2022, I will leave the playlist linked up above. You will know that I was trying really hard to be a necromancer, and to be a necromancer in August I had to read, I think, 8 books, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, 8 books. And those 8 books had to do with specific studies that I was doing, and so I'm going to tell you what the study was and then the book that I read for it. So the first one that we have is animal studies, and I had to read a book with a familiar or animal companion. And for that one I read Little Bird by Tiffany Murrett, and this was a NetGalley copy that I had requested, and I did not enjoy it that much. If I do remember correctly, I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads because the premise was really interesting, but the way that it was taken into account and made really wasn't. That was a fault of the book, and I was really sad. But in the cover, and for our main character, she has a dog. The dog is in the cover and is also the main companion of the story, since it's basically our main character and the dog, and then the antagonist of the story. So the premise was cool. If you would like something little spooky but not really spooky, so if you don't like horror and stuff, that could be a good one for you to get into it. However, I didn't like the way it was developed. I think it was poorly explained. I think it left a lot to be desired, but I'm expecting that Tiffany Murrett writes something else and that it might be better, because I think it was her debut novel, so I could be interested to read more of her works. Then for Conjuration, I had to read 3 books. For the first one, I had to read a book with necromancy themes, and for that one I read The Crow, Dead Time. So if you don't know the story of The Crow, the original Crow is this story about this dude that came back to life after being murdered and watching his girlfriend being murdered, and he came back to life as the Crow, the spirit of revenge, to get revenge on the people that have done those things to him and his girlfriend. And this story specifically is not about the same characters. It's about other characters, and it has a lot of time traveling situations. So it's a character that has come back from years and years before to take revenge on the descendants of the people that hurt him. It was interesting. It wasn't as good as the first. The first is one of my favorite things in the world. This one wasn't as good, but it was also beautiful in terms of art style, and you know, it was fun to read. So it had definitely necromancy themes, since people that are dead came back to life. Then we had, for the same Conjuration, a book that had to have a bone on the cover or title, and for that one I read Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight, if I'm correct. Let me just check if I'm correct. Yes, I am. And you might be, and that book does have a skull on the cover with a snake on it. And you might be wondering, you read Den of Vipers? Yes, I have found that dark romance is kind of my beach. I am not going to state that I find that book and anything that happens in it healthy, because I fucking don't. And I would say that for you to read, like, dark romance novels, you have to be very sure of the trigger warnings, because that one is trigger warnings galore, and you also have to be sure that you understand that that's toxicity and isn't good for you, because if you don't understand that, and if you search for something like that in real life, you might be into a lot of trouble. It works in fiction, it doesn't work in real life. That aside, I actually really enjoyed Den of Vipers in a way that wasn't like, oh my god, I want this life. I want more of these books. I want no. It was one book. It was interesting. I don't know what to tell you. I enjoyed it. I like our main characters, especially our girl main character. And it was just a good for her kind of thing and good for them, and actually presents polyamorous themes, which, if you know me, I'm very on favor. I don't think human beings were born to be monogamous, and so it was very interesting to see that approach. I would like to read more books that have that approach to see if they do it better. Apart from that, that was a book that I read. Let's just get into the rest. Then for the final Conjuration book, I had to reread a favorite, and for that one, I reread the first 4 issues of The Me You Love in the Dark by Scotty Young and George Corona, and then I finished with the 5th issue. So I read the entirety of the trade paperback. I had read the 4th issues previously, and I only got the 5th one in the trade paperback. So I reread the 4th issues, and then I finished the story. This story is incredible, is amazing, and one day I'm going to be doing a review for it because it's so great. That's all I have to say. It's incredible, and it's not at all about what you think it is in the beginning. Then, for Demonology, I had to read a fantasy. And I read the first volume of which Hat Atelier actually was a reread as well. This is by Kamome Shirahama, and I have loved this first book when I read it, but I decided that I was going to continue with the series because I have until volume 9 and I haven't read any of them, and so I decided I'm going to continue. Let's just reread the first one and it will do as a fantasy. And then I read volumes 2, 3, and 4 as well of Witch Hat Atelier this month. So it was incredible. I really enjoy reading them. This is beautiful. And if you're a lover of high fantasy, and if you're a lover of magic, and a lover of good art style, this is definitely for you. Then for spells and incantations, I had to use a color wheel, which you might have seen in the first vlog that I've done, and the color that came out was green. So I read Joker Killer Smile, and this is by Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, and Jordi Belair. And Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino are like the best team that I've seen doing comics right now, and I love everything they do, the art style, the narration, everything. And this one was very close to my heart, first of all because it had the Joker, which, if you don't know, is one of my favorite villains of all time, and then it also had a psychologist as the main character. He was trying to solve Joker, which you all know it's not a good idea, but I just love it. It's fairly short, but it's incredible. And then in the end, it has a very special killer smile thing with the Batman, which was groundbreakingly crazy, and I loved it. Then also for spells and incantations, I had to read a book that was in someone else's TBR, and I chose Terror in the Trench. So first of all, I wanted to say that this is a book where I have my short story, but it wasn't because of that I chose it. It was going to be featured on the Hindi horror book club, and I decided to join because I haven't read any of my table of content colleagues' stories, so I decided, okay, I'm going to reread them. I really enjoy them. I have my favorites, of course, as in any anthology, and I have some that I didn't like as much, but I think that every single one of you can find in here something about the water themes and horrors that you will enjoy. Obviously, shameless plug because I have a short story here, but I mean, still amazing. Also, I do want to say that I know there's been some sort of controversy with the editor-in-chief of this, Jay Alexander, and I do know that he pulled this book from Amazon, so you cannot get it right now, which is really sad for me, but I mean, it happens. So for those of you that have this, just keep it safe because you won't find it for now. And I do want to say that I don't support the way that he dealt with a lot of things, but I still have to support my work, and so I don't know. I'm not going to review this personally. I've reviewed it on Goodreads just for the sake of the authors that participated, but I don't want to be connected with those troubles that are going on because, first of all, I don't understand half of them. Second of all, the ones that I know are really not that great. And third of all, I don't really enjoy people that make a mess and just for no fucking reason whatsoever. So, yeah, I read this. End of story. Then I had to, in a better light, I had to read the book for Restoration, and that was a book that had a single object as focus on the cover. And for that one, I chose The Silver Coin Volume 2. Even though it has this hand on it, obviously for the title and for the center focus of the piece, you focus on the silver coin that is dripping blood. And so for that reason alone, I decided that I was going to choose this. I've read the first volume and I loved it, and because it was a comic and fast to read, I decided I'm just going to read this, and I loved it as well. I'm so looking forward for more of this because I want to know more of this legend. And this had art and lettering by Michael Walsh. It had a story by Joshua Williamson, Rem V, Matthew Rosenberg, Vita Ayala, and Michael Walsh himself. Amazing. I really love the silver coin. I love stories about cursed objects that go around through the world and fuck people's lives until you actually know where they are from and what they are doing and what is going on. I think it's really incredible. So this one was really cool. Then I've read some stuff out of reading for this. And the first one that I read, I actually finished it from July, since I started it in July, and that was The Reyes Incident by Brianna Morgan. So Brianna Morgan is a Hindi horror author, and I enjoy the story of the Reyes Incident, but I do feel like it was a little bit expected. I was expecting pretty much everything that happened, and even though the ending kind of did a plot twist on us, it was like, huh, okay. So I think it wasn't the best introduction to Brianna Morgan's works for me, so I'm just going to search for another one of her works and try to see what I think about them. So I cannot give you another specificity. However, if you do like stories with sirens, water horror, gore, and actually a lot of LGBTQ plus representation, that would be good for you. It has that. You might like it. It wasn't really my thing, but I think it might be because of the siren topics. Maybe. It isn't really my thing. We will see. But I encourage you to actually search for Brianna Morgan's works and to get to know more indie horror authors, because that's what is going on right now. Then I was invited to read an arc of Camp Silver Oaks by Leroy Cross James, and my Friday the 13th loving heart, and the one that really watched Sleepaway Camp and enjoyed it a lot, loved Camp Silver Oaks. So if you're looking for a campy horror that you can read through summer, the end of summer and beginning of autumn, this is the one for you. I really enjoyed it. I made a post on my Instagram about it. I reviewed it on Goodreads, and now I'm telling you here, this could be a great one for you. It has an unexpected twist, and I really liked how Leroy Cross James just bled two things together. It was great. It was really cool. Then I read a short story by Jamie Stewart. If you don't know, I really enjoy Jamie Stewart's writing and his social commentary in his stories. And this time I read No Strings, which is about these toys that have no strings that are in this place. I don't know. I'm trying to be cryptic and vague because it's a really short story, but toys with no strings that are supposed to have strings. I mean, toys for me are one of the scariest things. Dolls, I hate dolls. These ones aren't dolls, but they're creepy as fuck, and I don't know if you find dolls creepy or toys creepy. This one is for you. It was actually bone-chilling at a point, and it was incredibly enjoyable. I was also invited to read the first issue of Born of Blood. This was written by Dolan, pencil and ink was by Carlos Beccaria, and edited by Murphy and Sean Udechko, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, I hope. You can have access to it in digital, but you can already pre-order it for the printed version that is going to come out in the late September. Born of Blood is the story of a Spartan princess, which is kind of cool because first of all, she's a fucking badass. Second of all, there's lots of blood and fighting. And third of all, it's Sparta. I mean, we want to read more about that, like gladiators and fighting, and everything is amazing. So I do recommend it. It's pretty in the art style, but very gruesome in the narration and everything else. And I think that you will enjoy it if you like historical things and if you do like a good fight. Then to finish up, I read The Liminal Zone by Junji Ito, which I do have a review for, and I'm just going to tell you here that Junji Ito is, as always, amazing, and for that reason alone, you should get this. This is a new short story collection of his new works from 2021, so it really, you can see the evolution if you've been reading his works. From the beginning, you can see the evolution that he has made throughout time and space, and it's just 4 stories, but they're bigger than they usually are, and I really enjoyed it. Really. This one might actually have one of my favorite stories. Maybe. I still have to see. But yeah, so you can see the rest in my review, and I loved it. It's Junji Ito. It's horror, it has trigger warnings, but it's great. So that's going to be all for today. I thank you very, very much for doing this wrap up with me. If you like it, leave a like or subscribe, and tell me something down below if you've made the magical readathon too, and what was your coursework, and what are you aiming to be, and if you've read any of these books, or if you like to read any of these books, or if you just don't know any of these books or hate them, just tell me something in the comments down below so we can chat about it. And that's going to be all for today, so happy readings to you all. Bye!